It's May, and Grand Sumo returns to the Ryogoku Kokugikan in Tokyo. And Kirishima is back as an ozeki for the first time in 2 years. We'll take a look at if he can continue his run, if fellow ozeki Aonishiki can bounce back after his worst showing since joining the top division, and what the heck is going on with Onosato. Plus, the banzuke, power rankings, and more coming up right now. Let's start off with a look at the banzuke, sumo's official rankings. For the third straight tournament, Hoshoryu is the top-ranked wrestler at Yokozuna 1 East. The 26-year-old Mongolian is still searching for his first championship since becoming Yokozuna. He's coming off his fourth runner-up finish in 6 tournaments. Across from him is the wounded giant Onosato, who had his worst performance of his career. Still feeling the effects of the dislocated left shoulder he suffered in November, he opened March with 3 straight losses before pulling out of the tournament. During a training session on May 1st, Onosato didn't face off against any opponents. It hasn't been said if he's going to miss this tournament, but if his shoulder isn't getting any better, it's hard to see him making it through all 15 days. Koto Zakura takes back the top spot among ozeki wrestlers after getting 10 wins for the first time since his November 2024 yusho. He jumps ahead of Aonishiki, who drops to the west side after his worst top division showing of just 7 wins in March. In fact, it was the 22-year-old Ukrainian's first makuuchi tournament with fewer than 11 wins. He suffered a fractured left toe that slowed him down. We'll see how well that toe is healed and if he can return to the form that we've been used to over the last year. So, quick update. As I was editing this, Sportshochi reported that Aonishiki suffered a left ankle injury during practice on Wednesday. He went to the hospital to get it examined, but the extent of the injury has not been revealed yet. He's kadoban after failing to get a winning record in March, so this makes the challenge of keeping his ozeki rank even harder. And back at ozeki for the first time in 2 years is the March champion, Kirishima. He was 34-11 over his last 3 tournaments. It's his best stretch since his ozeki run in 2023 when he also had 34 wins and a yusho. Atami Fuji climbs up to the top sekiwake spot after going 9-6 in his Sanyaku debut. On the west side is 26-year-old Koto Shoho, who's making his own debut in the Sanyaku. Wakataka Kage returns as Komusubi after picking up 8 wins in the last tournament. He's coming off back-to-back Kachikoshi, or winning records. Something to watch for is the elbow injury he aggravated during his day 13th bout against Abi, which forced him to miss the final 2 days of action. And Takayasu enters his 7th straight basho in the Sanyaku, his longest run since 2020. It's been an odd run since he's had 3 losing records during that span, including a 7-8 record in March. Next, we jump over to the top of the Maegashira, where 21-year-old Fujinokawa, the youngest wrestler in the top division, has climbed up to the top Maegashira spot. Takanosho earned a 3-rank jump after going 9-6 in March, snapping an 8-tournament streak of losing records in the Joy. Ichi Yamamoto climbed back into the Joy after getting 9 wins. It'll be interesting if he could snap his yo-yoing ways. Just take a look at his last 6 tournaments. Gonoyama makes a big jump, climbing up 6 spots after an impressive 10-win performance. Fuji Seiyun looks to build on his impressive 10-5 makuuchi debut in March. The 28-year-old will have his work cut out for him. Former ozeki Shodai had a big 3-rank jump after going 8-7. Wakamoto Haru had a big fall from Komusubi after a brutal 3-12 outing. Chura Naomi, meanwhile, dropped only 4 spots despite a 4-11 record in March. Yoshino Fuji dropped a half a rank after going 7-8 and suffering his first losing record in makuuchi. And maintaining their spots for another tournament are Hirodoumi, Oho, and Daisho. Moving to the middle of the Maegashira, Asahakuryu made the biggest leap, jumping up 8 spots after his 10-5 showing. This will be a big test for the 27-year-old Mongolian. In his short makuuchi career, he's only faced 4 wrestlers above Maegashira 10. but he does have a 2-2 record against them. Chiyoshima, who is also 10-5, nearly made as big of a jump, climbing 7 spots after he closed out the March tournament on a 5-match winning streak. We'll see how the 34-year-old does this time around in the Maegashira single digits. His last 3 tournaments this high, he's had 3 losing records with a combined 11-34 mark. Also making sizable jumps are Osaka-ryu, Nishiki-fuji, and Kinbozan, who all climbed up 5 spots. Speaking of Kinbozan, he came on strong at the end of the last basho, winning 5 of his last 6 matches. Former ozeki Asanoyama climbs up 2 spots to Maegashira 10 East. Abi falls 4 ranks. He was dealing with a back injury entering the March tournament. If he's healthy, he can wreak havoc down here like he did in January. The often injured Hakuno Fuji continues tumbling down the rankings again. A big toe injury limited him to just 5 wins in March, causing him to fall 3 spots to Maegashira 10 West. Fan favorite Ura also falls 3 spots after his 5-10 showing. Toki Hayate does as well after his worst showing in the top division. And Shishi and Oshoma both drop slightly after 6-9 records. At the bottom of the division, Koto Shoho's younger brother Koto Eiho climbs up 4 spots to Maegashira 13 East. Another former ozeki, Mitakeumi, moves up 1 spot to Maegashira 14 East after securing 8 wins in March. Ironman Tamawashi had his second straight 5-10 record, falling down to Maegashira 13 West. It's his lowest rank since September of 2013 when he was Maegashira 16 West. But more importantly, this will be his 100th career tournament in the top division, joining just Kaio and Hakuho to reach that milestone. If he can't bounce back in May, seeing his 101st might just be out of reach for the 42-year-old. Tobizaru falls to Maegashira 15 East. It's the second time in 5 tournaments he's been ranked this low. Injuries and age have made the 34-year-old flying monkey not quite as effective as he's been in the past. Since the beginning of 2025, he's had just 1 winning record. If he can't sort things out, he could fall to Juryo for the first time since 2020. Roga and Oshoumi both dropped 4 spots after their 5-10 records. And Fuji Ryoga lucked out and held on to his spot at Maegashira 17 East after getting 7 wins in his debut. This is just his 8th pro tournament. Let's see if he can shake off those nerves from March and return with a stronger performance. As for the promotions from Juryo, Ryuden climbs back into the top division after another 1-tournament stint down in the 2nd division. He's 35, and these back and forth jumps seem like they're becoming more common. As for the lone debutant, it's Waka Nosho who makes his top division debut after a strong showing at Juryo 3 West. His last 2 tournaments in Juryo, he went 23-7, capturing the championship in January and finishing runner-up in March. Now let's jump into my power rankings. If you're new to the channel, I build my rankings by looking at how top division wrestlers performed over the last 3 tournaments. And then I put together a list of who I believe are the top 5 over that span. Topping my list is Aonishiki. Back-to-back championships in November and January lifted him up to this rank. He seemed like he was on the path to becoming the first European-born yokozuna until that hiccup in March. A fractured left pinky toe definitely gave him problems in Osaka, but he still finished the tournament, and he beat both Koto Zakura and Kirishima to give himself a shot at avoiding kadoban on day 15. But as we know, Hoshoryu ended that hope. If he's healthy, he's shown that he's one of the best in the sport and a perennial contender for the title. If that toe's feeling better and the new ankle injury isn't terrible, he's capable of getting 8 wins to avoid a demotion. Getting back to a standard of 11? I wouldn't count on it this tournament. At number 2 is the March yusho winner, Kirishima. Now an ozeki again for the first time in 2 years, the question is, can he punch through the ceiling and take it to the next level? He has the distinction of being the only Mongolian-born wrestler to reach ozeki and not become yokozuna. And it looked like he was going to stay that way until the last 3 tournaments. His 34 wins is the most of anyone over that stretch, and if there is ever a perfect time for him to make a run for the rope, it's now. Onosato's hurt, Aonishiki is not 100%, and his biggest obstacle is Hoshoryu. But this has to be the run of his career. He's never had more than 3 consecutive tournaments with 10 plus wins. Now would be the time to start, and I think he will again be a strong contender for the title. Coming in at number 3 is Hoshoryu. The yokozuna is 33-12 with a pair of runner-up finishes over his last 3 basho. He's been what you would expect from a yokozuna. Well, everything but the championship. This will be his 8th tournament as yokozuna, and I have him in a similar spot as Kirishima. With Onosato and Aonishiki nursing injuries, this could be his best shot to finally capture the yusho and shake off the notion that he's a quote-unquote undeserving yokozuna. I find that notion silly. If we go back to November of 2024, he's had 10 plus wins in every complete tournament he's fought in. That includes 5 runner-up finishes and a championship. I fully expect him to be a contender again. At number 4 is the heaviest top division wrestler, Atami Fuji. It feels like he's finally living up to the expectations he had after rapidly ascending the rankings in 2023. His 29 wins is 4th most among wrestlers over the last 3 tournaments, and he finished with his 4th career runner-up in January after winning 12 bouts. 9 wins in the Sanyaku debut is huge. If he can find consistency, he's certainly capable of going even higher. But we can't also forget that he had 3 tournaments last year with 6 or fewer wins. But given how good he's looked in 2026, he should give another solid showing in May. And rounding off my list is the honey badger Fujinokawa. He's on the cusp of entering the Sanyaku if he does well in May, but a neck injury kept him out of the beginning of the spring tour. At 21, he's the youngest wrestler in makuuchi, and he's among the smallest at 1.77 meters or 5'9.5" and 121 kilograms or 267 pounds. His style of fighting is super fun to watch, but it's not conducive for a long career as a smaller guy. I'm not super confident about his May outlook. A tougher schedule plus a nagging injury doesn't make for a good combination. Alright, now it's time to make some predictions for May. First off, will we see a strong showing from our lone newcomer, Wakanosho? The former personal attendant to retired ozeki Takakeisho, he's been dominant in Juryo the last 2 tournaments. I feel like 9 to 10 wins is where he'll land here. Which Maegashira 10 or lower will get to double-digit wins? My heart wants to pick one of the traditionally higher-ranked staples like Ura, Tamawashi, or Tobizaru. But I'm gonna have to go with Fuji Ryoga. I feel like nerves got to him in March. Now that he has 1 basho under his belt, he should pop off for a stronger showing. Will we see Enho continue after this tournament? If you don't know his story, the small injury-prone 31-year-old became the first wrestler to fall to Jonokuchi, sumo's lowest division, and climb back to Sekitori status, or sumo's top 2 divisions. He's the lowest ranked fighter in Juryo, and if he gets a winning record, I think he stays. And I believe he's good enough to do that, but as the adage goes, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is spongy and bruised. Will Tamawashi do well enough to keep a spot in the top division? He found a fountain of youth last July when he picked up 11 wins. Since then, it's been 4 straight losing records. But with this being such a major milestone in his career, I think he'll do well enough to hold his spot for the July basho. And if I did my math right, he needs 6 wins to stay in the top division in July. That's definitely doable. Whether he stays in the top division for his 42nd birthday in November, that's a whole other question. Will Onosato complete this tournament? My heart hopes he sits out and heals. And my gut says no. I feel like he's gonna give it a go, but if his shoulder is still as bad as it was in March, it won't be a long tournament. And finally, who's winning the basho? Kirishima, Hoshoryu, Aonishiki? A dark horse? Well, I'm gonna go with Hoshoryu. A healthy, motivated Hoshoryu is a scary Hoshoryu. That chip on his shoulder keeps growing with every passing tournament he doesn't capture the yusho. He's had double-digit win totals in each of the last 3 May tournaments. So I'm gonna say he finally steps up and wins the trophy in Tokyo. A great way to celebrate his 27th birthday, which takes place on day 13 of the tournament. And that was my preview for the May Basho. So who do you think is gonna capture the yusho? Let me know in the comments below. And a heads up, I will be on a much needed vacation during the majority of the tournament, so there probably won't be any mid-basho updates for me. And the May recap might be a little bit delayed. But I am planning on launching a new video midway through the tournament, so keep an eye out for that. And if you like what I do, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you next time.